Hello fellow data friends. You're probably aware that you can get a lot of liberty desire by making unreasonable demands on your overlord. But depending on your circumstances, you can do even better. First, let's look at the base action. When you are a subject and want more liberty desire, you can ask your overlord for your own market and for support of your government. If your overlord denies your requests, you get 10 liberty desire each and your relation to your overlord drops. Depending on your political situation, lowering relations with your overlord might be advantageous, because lower relations give you even more liberty desire. But maybe you don't want to anger your overlord. Once you use both actions, they go on a 5-year cooldown and you might be stuck with an angry overlord. But what can we do instead? If you can form a government with a lot of negative ideological opinion with the overlord, we can do something else. You can always check your ideological opinion with your overlord by hovering over the tooltip in the Increase Autonomy button. That is always possible. Here you can see this plus 25 ideological similarities modifier. This modifier is calculated by taking your ideological opinion with your overlord, halving it and capping it at either 25 or minus 25. So now we know that our ideological similarity is above 50. To use the strategy, you need to be able to form a government which has at least minus 25 ideological similarity with your overlord. Let's change the government real quick. Not much choice anyway. Now, the modifier says minus 25. Since that is only half of the actual value, it's fine. Back to the landowner government real quick. Now, we ask for regime support. Yes, this will lower our liberty desire each week by 10 points. But it will be worth it because we get 10 liberty desire once Russia breaks this pact again, which will happen in about 14 months, and then we can immediately repeat the process. Let me change the government to the intelligentsia again. Russia still deeply dislikes our government, but they must keep the support of our regime for 12 months. The game does not allow them to cancel it sooner. Now we wait until January 1937. Now Russia can break the pact, it will take some weeks until they do, and we get a small message about that in the corner. Here it is. It took 1 year and about 8 weeks, so 60 weeks in total. Which means our liberty desire was decreased by 6 due to the weekly modifier and then raised by 10 once Russia broke the pact. So a net gain of 4 liberty desire in about 14 months. And now we can just repeat the process. Get a landowner government and ask for regime support. Russia accepted and we wait about 14 months. And I change the government back to the intelligentsia in between. This time, Russia broke the pact after 1 year and 1 week. We could repeat that as long as we can form a government which Russia dislikes enough. Netting a little over 4 liberty desire in about 14 months gives us 16 liberty desire in about 4.5 years. Asking for support and getting rejected would give us 10 liberty desire with a 5-year cooldown. So we get more liberty desire this way and don't lose relations with our overlord. Also, I can use a minority intelligentsia government and still have a contested government because we get 20 legitimacy from the government support. Keeping your overlord protective is also helpful with defending your level of autonomy. An overlord can reduce your autonomy once your liberty desire is 25 or less, but a protective overlord will only do so once you are down to 10 liberty desire. But a word of warning, you can only make the AI break the support regime as long as you can form a government your overlord hates. As far as I know, you cannot break it in any other way. And be cautious if you want to use that strategy as Krakow. Austria can regime change you through the power block interaction. They will do so if they have more than 75 cohesion and your ideological opinion is below minus 50. According to the game files, the AI should not use it very often, but it will be hurtful if they use it. But let's say you don't care about your relationship with your overlord or you even want bad relations. Many subjects, like Krakow in this case, start with 50 liberty desire. When we ask for our own market and for government support in a way that Austria will deny, we are still missing some liberty desire to get further and need to wait 5 years. Or do we? If we have less than minus 25 ideological opinion with our overlord is domineering and uses the maintain balance of power strategy, then your overlord is very likely to appoint a governor. Let's wait a couple of days. And Austria appointed governor. This changes our head of state, and in this case, we gained 5 liberty desire and reached 75. Now we could ask for more autonomy. Of course they will deny, and we reach 85 liberty desire. That is enough to start a diplo play to increase our autonomy. It is not enough to start a diplo play for independence, but we crashed our relations with our overlord hard, so we get even more liberty desire on the weekly ticks. But you won't always get more liberty desire if your overlord appoints a governor. Let's change to Austria in a new game. If we appoint a governor in our subject, we get an event. Then we can either appoint a governor of our own culture and increase the liberty desire of our subject, or we can appoint a local governor and decrease the liberty desire of our subject. Unless there are some rare circumstances, the AI will randomly roll on a 50-50 chance. Even under bad circumstances, the chance to get more liberty desire should be at least 25%. So you cannot guarantee this happening, but you can very easily save scum it. Or, in case of Krakow, just restart and play the first month again. As last advice, I would like to show you a somewhat hidden but very useful tooltip. At first, you hover over the Liberty Desire chart. Here's a one-word description of your economic dependence. Hover over that and you get a breakdown of your economic dependence. Now, there's one value for our buy orders which are satisfied by Russia, and one value for Russian buy orders satisfied by us. When you hover over the numbers at the front, you get a detailed breakdown which and how many goods you are buying from Russia and what Russia is buying from you. This information can help a lot to reduce economic dependence, since we know on which goods we are actually dependent. It is also quite helpful when you plan to leave the market of your overlord, because now you can see which goods you use from your overlord and need to either trade for or produce them yourself. If you want to know why you should always raise taxes at game start, click on the video at the top. Have fun playing Victoria and thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing.